Section 11-5, Part 2. Justifying two triangles are similar using vertical angles. Can you conclude that triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEC? Justify your reasoning. In order for us to prove that this larger triangle ABC is similar to the smaller triangle DEC, we must conclude that there's two angles of the larger triangle that are congruent to two angles of the smaller triangle. Well, look at your markings. We have one marking at A and one marking at D. So we know the measure of angle A is congruent to the measure of angle D. Okay? We could also name this angle BAC. That would be another way to name the same exact angle. We can name it angle BAC is congruent to this angle EDC. We could name it angle EDC. So those are just other ways of naming angle A and angle D. So we know that these angles are congruent. Notice that these two triangles intersect at point C. Two intersecting lines form vertical angles. This angle and this angle are vertical angles. So we know that the measure of angle ACB is congruent to the measure of angle, we could say DCE. DCE. So ACB is congruent to DCE. That's the same thing as saying the measure of angle C is congruent to the measure of angle C. So, since we know that these two angles are congruent, and we know that A and D are congruent, we know that two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle. Therefore, that's enough to conclude that triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEC. ABC is similar to DEC. That means angle A is congruent to D, angle B is congruent to E, and angle C is congruent to C. So by us knowing that two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then we can make this similarity statement saying that these triangles are similar, therefore their corresponding angles are congruent, once we can say that the triangles are similar.